This is AT. Much of the info for this video comes from this book here, Hard Luck, The Triumph and Tragedy of Irish Jerry Quarry. It's by Steve Springer and Blake Chavez. Now, if you can, support these and other great authors by buying their works new. On December 13, 1973, two of the hardest punchers in the heavyweight division, Jerry Quarry and Ernie Shavers, met at Madison Square Garden. It's for a 12-round bout. Although matchmaker Teddy Brenner said, and I'm quoting him, "It'll be the shortest 12-rounder in boxing history." Shavers, rated in 1973 sixth in the world, was and is considered among the most powerful punchers ever. Muhammad Ali said after his encounter with Shavers, "Ernie hit me so hard it shook my kinfolk back in Africa." In his career of 74 victories, Ernie had 68 by knockout. And in 1978, Shavers' right hand almost knocked the crown off Larry Holmes' head. And the following year, he knocked out Kenny Norton in one round. Well, months before meeting Quarry, Ernie had knocked out Jimmy Young in 3 and Jimmy Ellis in 1. His big problem, Ernie's, was that few fighters dared to take him on. Well, except Jerry Quarry. Quarry, rushed perhaps too quickly by his team led by his father. Jerry performed well since he turned pro in May of '65. It was marred only by, a too early boxing lesson in July of '66 from top heavyweight contender Eddie Machen. And then there was the majority decision loss to Jimmy Ellis in April of '68, and then the TKO by Joe Frazier, and Jerry lost that because of cuts. And then there was the very strange KO loss to George Chuvalo. Although Jerry was way ahead on points, he was obviously fit to continue after a tap on the head by Chuvalo that put Jerry down. Now, Chuvalo, and according to announcer Don Dumphy, he was spent, his eye was swollen. Now, you see Jerry on one knee, ready to rise, but the referee, Jack Clayton, said he did not beat the count. Well, whatever. Anybody who saw the fight knew that Jerry was in no way beaten by Chuvalo. Then there was another loss, again on cuts, to Muhammad Ali. Meanwhile, in 1973, Jerry is rated 4th in the world. He had, before he met Ernie, knocked out Brian London and Mac Foster. Now, Mac Foster had twice TKO'd Cleveland Williams. Later on, he'd knock out Zora Foley. He'd take Muhammad Ali to the whole 15 rounds. But he was knocked out by Jerry Quarry. And Jerry decisioned the slick Randy Newman, the powerhouse Ron Lyle, former champion Floyd Patterson. Now, what Jerry wanted was not a shot at Shavers. He wanted a shot at the champion George Foreman, even after George took out the formidable Joe Roman in one round. Jerry, in fact, offered Foreman $1 million to get George into the ring with the title on the line. But neither Dick Sadler, Foreman's trainer-manager, nor Foreman himself would take a chance with Jerry Quarry. Now, Foreman, years back, had sparred with Quarry. That was after he took the Olympic gold. He knew how good Jerry was. Later on, Foreman said, "Jerry Quarry was the one man I ever ducked." Well, before the fight with Shavers, Quarry is statistically an 11-5 favorite. He's very confident and relaxed. He said, "I think it will last 3 rounds. I can knock him out in 1 if he comes to fight." Now, this is something that few real boxing experts believe. The prevailing view then was that Ernie hit harder than anyone, even Foreman, and that If he hits Jerry Quarry, Quarry's gone. Jerry's going to get, by the way, his biggest payday yet, $60,000 or 30% of the gate. Shavers will get $40,000 against 28% of the gate. The promoter was Don King. He's also Shavers' manager. Now he brings in, to see the fight, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, George Foreman. He wants them to get a ringside view of Ernie Shavers ending Jerry Quarry's career. King said, "It'll be our easiest fight." Now Shavers himself was every bit as confident. He said, "I'll knock him out." Well, the fight, as predicted, did not last long. Jerry Quarry, after releasing a left hook and a right fist, goes after Shavers like a hurricane. Shavers was down twice, but each time he did get up. But after the last one, he was obviously no longer in the fight, as referee Arthur McCanty ended the slaughter after, I think it was about 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Somebody checked me on that. Well, the aftermath was Don King was so upset that he's rumored to have left Shavers alone at the Garden without any transportation. Shavers later wrote in his book, it's called Welcome to the Big Time. Oh, and buy that one too, it's a good read. He said, "Quarry gave me a pummeling I'd never experienced before. I felt like I was holding on for dear life." He also claimed that Don King didn't give him a cent after all the expenses were paid. But Shavers isn't finished. As I mentioned before, he had a great few wins, knocking out Kenny Norton in one round and almost taking the title from a seriously hurt Larry Holmes. Ernie Shavers died in September of 2022. He was 78. Jerry Quarry, after the fight, spent the evening celebrating with pals at various New York Irish pubs. Later on, he'll fight 2 times more. One will be a TKO loss against Frazier, and then another TKO loss to Ken Norton. That was for the North American heavyweight title. As many of you know, in his later years, Jerry suffered dementia pugilistica, punch drunk, and that is a well-documented and publicized story. Jerry would die in 1999. He was only 53. Earlier in 1995, Jerry Quarry was inducted into the World Boxing Hall of Fame. And that is the story. Tap the thumb up, subscribe, and share. Thank you.